Hello dear friends, I'm glad to welcome everyone watching Sotnik-TV this moment. It's November 23rd, 2019. The Moscow time is 7 p.m. sharp. No, it's 7:01 actually. We're streaming live. Let's get to the news. Let me congratulate you, my friends. The itching of confiscation is covering the state gangsters. Let me quote Vasily Piskarev from United Russia Party. He said the following yesterday. We have a bill. We're talking about not only seizing the funds of a drug dealer, the criminal, but also of his relatives, who have gained by means of drug production. Similarly to the recent explanations of the Constitutional Court that allowed seizing the property of the relatives of the corrupt authorities. He explained that once the drug dealer relatives possess some unclear property, that's the quote, unclear property, that may be seized in favor of the state, unless the legal way of purchasing has been proven. What a fun they're offering! The bill is in the pipeline, and the lawmakers are going to intensify the attempts, Piskarov added. Imagine the following. Nothing happened to Gelunov. No one has helped him out and no one has proven anything. No one caught those cops planting drugs on him. What happens next amid that new bill that will soon be adopted? Don't you doubt that? That means that everything will be taken from his parents, from himself, as well as from his friends and relatives. Do you realize that? Just know that confiscation operation may soon be spread among other spheres. For say, they will seize the property of public enemies, the new ones according to Putin. I mean foreign agents as well as their friends and families. Where did that property come from? From the US State Department? Did they give you the money for that apartment? Well, at least some part of that money was from that for sure. Do you realize what a great opportunity that makes? And as I have said, it's not just Sotnik exaggerating. Those Kremlin scums are widening the confiscation enforcement practices, creating a legal framework for property snatching. That can be money or real estate or vehicles, whatever. There can be no property in the country with judicial power ruined. Remember that, where the law is gone, the state is gone as well, of course. That still seems there, but it's not. Once you can't solve an issue rightly in court, once a court decision depends on some phone calls from above, and some talks in favor of so-called statesmen, that means the state is ruined and gone. There's just a wild field. Whoever runs first wins. Whoever gets the authority suppresses the rest. A short diagnosis of the ongoing situation in Russia with a brief forecast was given by Gennady Gudkov. You can watch his full interview on our channel the next week. Yet I'd like to draw your attention to some important points by Gennady Gudkov now. I believe the current state is borderline and really dangerous. Once they manage to put the country into the police dictatorship, the repressions will grow, getting more cruel and mass. Remember my words, God forbid them from choosing that way, as that will end up in Moscow funerals of those shot during some protest manifestations. That will be when the country flinches. I really don't wish that, but that is some existing option we need to discuss. The occupiers are high of their impunity. They are high with all might over people. A police officer hit a restaurant building with his car driving drunk. Another one beat up school children crossing a road and tried to choke a 7th grader. And so on. All those assaults and tortures. We've just seen some nasty footage of fascist mercenaries torturing a man cruelly and later messing with his corpse. They would finally burn the body half-chopped. So I'm asking, why has that footage surprised you folks? Remember what they did in Gulag camps. Those didn't differ from Nazis' camps and were even more cruel. While Nazis obtained some ideology, killing Jews and communists and the rest, ours would murder their neighbors. They were as cruel. There was a camp where they conducted medical experiments over the prisoners. And the according documents are still classified. So there was no difference between Gestapo and NKVD. Yet we won over Nazis who were judged by a Nuremberg trial and so on. And ours were declared heroes. Those who had shot 5 and 10,000s were named the heroes of Soviet Union and all the benefits provided. So we turn out worse than Nazis. Worse than those shaking Germany in the 30s. Let me emphasize and point your attention to the fact that those are the words by a man who used to serve the regime faithfully. I sure understand why he doesn't return to Russia now. I support that decision being reasonable. From now on, Mr. Gudkov is a traitor for those in Kremlin. He used to be a special agent and has now turned against the system. That puts him in the same row with so-called traitors like Mr. Skripal, Alexander Litvinenko and Oleg Kalugin. I realize those people are different. They have different knowledge and different influence. But those are the words by the former KGB colonel, the words by the former legislator from the state parliament, and by the person who used to serve the regime. All those people are united by one main thing. All of them come from a system test tube, and the system got back at them one way or another. Some were assassinated, the others were assaulted. Some are safe due to a treaty. Oleg Kalugin seems safe in the US. So I wouldn't really recommend Gennady Gudkov to return, as the regime went insane. And during every interview with him, I notice how close he gets to the truth. Here's the story that has to alert the entire population of Russia, all of the citizens. Let me quote. The government has introduced an amendment allowing Russia to produce medicine without the permission of the patent holder. The government will obtain the right to allow the usage of an invention, a sample or industrial models, quote, in case of emergency linked to providing state safety and defense, as well as citizens' lives and health guard. The patent holder will be informed that Russia would like to produce his medicine and will get the proportionate compensation left. The calculating way and the payment procedure will be determined by the government as well, the amendment says. End of quote. Regarding the defense, that means that we will snitch your military concepts as well. Regarding informing the patent holder and sharing some money with him, as far as I understand, that is some gangster humor. A big part of that makes the law of state piracy, the state level of stealing, covered by Kremlin. That is the snitch law. Just as Putin said. Where does that leave them? What options do they have? There are no technologies. The science is stagnating. They keep building churches. What science are we talking about? The education is crappy. All fields are terribly degrading. The population won't be able to make up words soon. They won't be able to master even some gang slang soon. That is getting too difficult for them. They soon will bleed, just like some primal Soviet apes. Some will start bleeding due to alcohol, the rest because their vocabulary gets too poor. Issuing stolen medicine is a half of the trouble. The real problem is that one can put any labels on that medicine on the wrapping. Having a fake inside. That won't treat a thing. Even worse, that will send patients to kingdom come, to heaven, as was told by the chief. He has promised you heaven, so here you are. You're expecting to buy the medicine from a serious disease, while in fact you are buying some empty shell, paying the same amount or maybe a bit less. The best thing that can turn out is an empty shell, or that may turn out some equivalent, with some terrible side effect that may lead to your condition worsening. And finally, we are moving to the sports news, as they used to say. Andrei Malgin has written the following today. Once the December decision on Russia by WADA is negative, that leaves little doubt, Russia will be banned from holding international competitions. That will affect 2021 UFA Hockey Championship, 2020 Sochi Luge World Cup, as well as 2020 Euro Games in St. Petersburg. End of quote. By the way, they already write me that once Russia is banned from international competitions and Olympic Games, that will make a brilliant reason to cut sports from the state funding. And I agree on that. All those sports schools for children and teens exist by means of the state budget. Why would they need those? Why would the gangsters spend money for something not paying back even to their reputation? Those gangsters like to explain that the following way. According to the global experience, the sports is funded by other sources, not including the state budget. So, that makes sense. We're waiting for that improvement in the sports area. Please take care of that, Mr. Mutko. Thank you, dear viewers and subscribers of Sotnik-TV, for your likes, for your sharing, for carrying the remaining voices of those common sense agents. Take care of yourselves, of your friends and family, of those common sense grains, of your hearts and souls. We'll meet on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Moscow time, live on Sotnik-TV. See you then. Goodbye.